It's often been said that an interest in Yarndling is an interest for life, and here at the National Museum of Yarndling in Runcorn there's something for everyone. The museum houses a fine collection of 18th century aquatints depicting competitive threading tournaments and many charming Victorian watercolours of cantilevered tarrafolds. You'll also find a display of perfectly preserved 12th century beading goblets, along with a selection of arched divot pegs and commemorative plates from the Winchester Revival. In pride of place are these rustic knitted figures of Yarndlers from days gone by. Yarndlers like these would have once worked the land, and in Dorset the practice is still very much in evidence, albeit with modern combine harvesters instead of men and horses. This weather-beaten plaque commemorates the work of the Dorchester Yarndling Fellowship. In 1886, with the help of a government grant of 400 guineas, members of the fellowship designed and built this imposing monument to the country's greatest literary figure, Thomas Hardy. Standing 72 feet high on the summit of Black Down, this simple yet striking memorial to the author of Jude the Obscure and Far from the Madding Crowd is made from Purbeck stone from nearby Worth Matravers and took 2 years to construct. Hardy was a founding member of the Dorchester Yarndling Fellowship. He would often give talks on subjects close to his heart, such as the correct way to wind embossed naps and how to protect chawns from harsh winter frosts. Towards the end of his life, he became a keen proponent of diagonal kedding, much to the consternation of his second wife Florence, who described it as an aberration that simply did not become him. Many hundred years before the birth of Thomas Hardy, and several hundred miles away, stands the Six Old Men of Brecon. This stone quadrangle was constructed in the 5th century by a mysterious group of wandering artisans, thought to be descended from Picts, and known locally as the Miniver Men. According to legend, the quadrangle is said to represent the 4 corners of a horizontal platen, while the jagged central stone, or clock stone, was used as a fixing point for the unwinding and scrimming of bevelled edging fans. Experts say the rectangular openings in the 4 columns were once used as aprons in conjunction with a rotating cruciform. This simple device, which separated thread from husks, was often carved from holly or hornbeam. In Kent, the roots of Yarndling go back even further. This early Neolithic megalith, now owned by the National Trust, marks the exact spot where water was drawn up from ancient chalk caves to moisturise horizontal flax platens during the summer months. These chalk caves, now open to the public, reveal the abundant calcite deposits that act as an aquifer, what the layman might call a sponge, holding thousands of gallons of natural spring water. Archaeologists from the University of Kent believe that Neolithic Yarndlers may have constructed a primitive form of Archimedes screw to draw the water up, where it would be contained in scrimming basins until needed. The impressive megalith, consisting of 4 slabs of sarsen stone arranged in a familiar table design, features several indentations that experts believe are the remnants of valved Yarndling jennies. As to this symbol, drawn in ground calcite by an ancient hand, well, it remains a mystery. Could it have been a primitive form of graffiti? A Yarndler's version of Kilroy was here? Over the border in East Sussex stands, or rather lies, the so-called Burwash Balder, a 6-ton slab of granite that was once used by local Yarndlers as a good place to scrub their chawns, using water from the Cuckmere River. Over time, the sharp edges of the Balder have been worn away by constant use, and nowadays the practice is strictly limited. But when it comes to tradition, look no further than the ancient order of Yarndlers, patron King Charles III. Established in 1931, their latest project is to restore these magnificent Iron Age bedding plates to their former glory. Once rising 30 feet into the Oxfordshire sky, now only the foundations remain to bear witness to what was surely a breathtaking scene of Yarndling on an industrial scale. And speaking of industry, we're better to bring our story up to date than here at the Gladstone Pottery Museum in Stoke. It was here that Josiah Wedgwood first patented his revolutionary intermittent firing process that enabled the mass sintering of spinnakers on a scale previously thought impossible. Gladstone soon became famous throughout the world for producing high-quality chawn dollies and diagonal threading pulleys. In fact, many of the machines built during the Industrial Revolution are still in use today, such as these brass kedding pans, the centrifugal displacement pump, and even this self-regulating flywheel sinker. Gladstone's distinctive bottle kilns work by creating a cyclic vacuum that draws out waste product through the central flue, while allowing tertiary kedding fumes to escape from its 4 dorsal arches. In this way, the temperature is maintained and the whole process is both safe and easily repeatable. Gladstone also contains a small museum of Yarndling artefacts once belonging to John Cadbury, the Victorian chocolate manufacturer. It was in his model village of Bourneville that Cadbury, a staunch Quaker, gave each and every one of his workers free access to communal Yarndling stools, should they so wish to use them. Over in Chapel St Leonard's, it's another story. The town's last Yarndling shop has recently had to close its doors after 150 years in business. There's just no call for bifurcated chawns in this part of the world, it seems. But while freestanding chuck winders like this are left to rust, it's not all bad news. Here in Painswick Park in Surrey, the Yarndling Guild has restored several follies built by its 18th century owner, Charles Hamilton. Hamilton was as keen on Yarndling as he was on dowsing, and this summer house in the Palladian style represents his love for both. So too does his temple, dedicated to the fraternity of Yarndlers everywhere. Surely something that, in this uncertain world, we can all agree on.